Hello and welcome back to One Trick Mind with me, Raptor.
And me, Michael.
And today we're going to be discussing this week's episode of Starfleet Academy. And this episode is one that I've seen a lot of differing discourse online. There are some people that have said that this is the episode that's killed the series. I saw that on Facebook. And there are some people that said this is the best episode of the season so far. And I can understand why the big disparity of discussion, because if I was to use one word to describe this episode, it would be mushy, if you understand what I mean. It's a lot of teenage relationship angst, teenagers like trying to figure out who they are as people angst, which is not inherently a bad thing.
I feel like it's very adult, though. Like, a lot of the relationship, quote unquote drama in this episode felt of an adult nature in this episode to me.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Like I said, I don't think I would say that this episode is bad, but I can understand why people who want more of a traditional sort of Star Trek episode haven't quite gelled with this one.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I felt like this episode was very personal. It was very much about the emotions and the personal struggles of two separate characters. There are three separate characters, really, because there's a lot of Genesis in this episode, a lot of DARREM, and I feel like a good amount of Caleb as well.
Yep.
But at the end of the day, honestly, I kind of liked it. I think, again, it's not my favorite episode of the bunch, but it's also not my least favorite. I feel like there are good aspects, specifically good scenes within here that I really did enjoy. But at the end of the day, again, it's sort of an all right episode. I feel like the last 3 episodes, this one included, have all just been kind of middle ground for me, where I'm like, I liked certain aspects, I didn't like others as much, but again, personally, I think I liked this episode more than I liked last week's.
I am of the opposite opinion. For me, personally, this is just me being preferential, I think this was kind of too much in one episode. I would have kind of preferred the 2 different storyline blocks to be in separate episodes as opposed to just the one, but that's just me being picky.
I mean, I definitely get that. Each of them, I think, held enough weight to hold their own episode. But again, I didn't dislike what I saw here. I enjoyed seeing Jaden kind of being there for DARREM through his whole situation. I do feel like DARREM's storyline is a bit cliched.
Shall we discuss the 2 different storylines then? Let's start with that one. So basically, one half of the episode is DARREM and Jaden going to Kionia's matrimonial moon because it's revealed that DARREM is in a arranged marriage situation that has had to be brought forwards because of an abdication crisis, which here in the UK is a very familiar historical event. Basically, DARREM agrees to go along with what his arranged fiancée wants, which is to quit the academy to come and rule Kionia together, because apparently you can't rule alone, it has to be together. And then after an impassionate and I have to say very good speech by Jaden, the fiancé decides to tell DARREM, actually, I'm going to annul the marriage, you can go back to the academy and I'll rule the planet alone. I think that was particularly unfair of her, personally.
I don't think it was unfair. I think she was doing what he ultimately wanted to do. She recognized the fact that he doesn't actually want this. He's doing this out of a sense of duty to his people, to his parents. He doesn't want to feel like a failure anymore. And she's like, that's not fair to you. Like, if this is not what you want, then I'll do this on my own. And, you figure yourself out. Which, again, I thought she was being considerably kind to him in that situation.
Possibly, but that's not how it came across in the way that she spoke to him. It did come across a bit aggressive is the wrong word, accusationary, maybe a little bit of jealousy, a little bit of, I'll do this by myself because you want to be else. So I don't know. It was just the way that she reacted. It didn't sound like she was doing it for his benefit. She was just kind of getting rid of him. That's how it felt to me, anyway.
Yeah, because again, I got a polar opposite reaction to that. Like, I read that as she was doing it for him.
I do agree with you, though, that it is incredibly cliche.
I mean, it's something we've seen in plenty of other media before. Even in Star Trek media before, we've seen the whole arranged marriage. One person really wants it, the other person doesn't really want it. How do we move forward with it? Naturally, we're going to have to end the marriage and go our own separate ways.
They always end in exactly the same way. There's never any surprise to it. It's just like how that comes about is the only difference.
Yeah, I mean, again, I did feel like it was rather cliche, but again, I didn't dislike it. I thought it was fine. I do agree with you that Jaden's speech was actually quite moving. I really enjoyed how he spoke so highly of DARREM and basically saying, without explicitly saying, I'm going to be there for you no matter what you choose here. And to me, it affirmed that Jaden is probably my favorite character out of all of the main cast here. I really, really like Jaden.
I would agree with you there, either Jaden or Genesis for me. Although before we discuss Jade, Genesis and Caleb's side, I was getting a huge heap of inferred DARREM Jaden romance going on here.
I didn't get a lot of it, but I definitely felt a potential for it.
There was plenty. Like, those scenes where they were, like, up close and personal, like, sharing the jacket and everything, and even in the actual speech as well, just the looks between them and the looks she was giving them in particular, the whole, like, I definitely saw it in her eyes, the sort of, there's some blossoming love here. And the way that the last bit of the episode as well, between him, Kyle, and DARREM, since it's very clear in this episode that Jaden and Kyle are now together, it definitely feels to me that they're going to do a sort of jealousy three-way love triangle thing going on here. That's at least what I'm reading.
Again, I could see them going down that route, but I didn't think they were too explicit with it, so that if they choose to not go that direction, it wouldn't feel weird. It's sort of like, yeah, that's a potential, but I don't think it's steadfast in we are definitely going down that route. Just the potential of it.
I'm calling it here. If it happens in the future, I called it here.
It's funny because I also got a bit of a love triangle thing going on with Genesis Caleb, and Tamira. Yeah. Because even though they weren't explicit with the fact that Caleb and Genesis might be having feelings towards one another, there were certain scenes and moments where I was like, I could see this being a thing. So it was sort of, in one way, you could say this is the episode that established two different love triangles, which I could see some people being not the biggest fan of.
Yes, the Caleb and Genesis storyline is an interesting one. Genesis basically is getting put on, or was getting put on the command track or pre-command track. Caleb is taking full advantage of the fact that no one's at the academy because they're all going off on school break, essentially. And Genesis sneaks back in order to... At first, it's not 100% clear. They together hack their way through the academy, get up to no good in the labs, release a warp slug, which I have to say, Mr. Doctor, not very nice to keep a life form in a plastic barrel in the middle of a cupboard. Like, it's not just a random substance, it's a life form. You get a tank for it, for heaven's sake, like Dr. Flux did for his stuff.
Good point.
But anyway, like, they get up to no good, essentially, which did annoy me in a couple of particular ways, but I'll get onto that in a minute. They hack their way into, Caleb hacks their way onto the bridge, it's revealed that Genesis is trying to prevent her application because she edited certain references in a way to remove negative comments about her, is the way I understood it.
Something like that, I think. I think it's clear that her and DARREM have somewhat similar
overbearing parents.
Yes, it seems they both have parents that expect a lot out of them and aren't 100% pleased with their children. They're definitely thinking, or again, it's implied, but it seems like Genesis' parents are basically like, she's okay. Like, there's definitely room for improvement here. I don't think she's the best. And she was trying her best to not let the committee see that she had edited those references in the first place and everything. And I did really like the scene where Ake confronts them about it and says, in this case, I'm not going to expel you, but I'm definitely not going to recommend you for the pre-command track anymore, and you're both going to have to do 200 hours of menial labor and everything. I thought that was a reasonable punishment for what they had done.
Yeah.
But it does seem like, again, her and DARREM are both dealing with parents that aren't 100% impressed with their children, and they're trying to overcome that.
Supportive of their children.
Yes.
Which, I'm sure many a person has experienced overbearing parents with very high standards, almost impossibly high standards sometimes. So I certainly, in some ways, kind of understood Genesis' fears. And yeah, like you said, there was did feel like some definite attraction between her and Caleb in some scenes. I would go on a limb and say I think the Kionian side of the episode was potentially... I preferred it to the Caleb Genesis side of the episode.
Yeah, I'm kind of the opposite. I think I preferred the Genesis Caleb side of the episode to the Kionian side of it.
I think my opinion comes from the fact that I'm not anti-Caleb, but I just cannot gel with his character. Does Starfleet Academy not have security?
I mean, it's not like they just walked on. He hacked the system.
Well, hold up. Like, first of all, the Kionians showed up and kidnapped a student, which either shows something about their technology or the lack of security on Academy grounds.
True.
And then, Caleb and Genesis hacks... Well, Genesis originally hacks her way through, but it's made very clear that Caleb is the one who hacks the bridge. A student being able to hack the bridge of a starship, like, what are the security protocols for this place? Clearly lacking. Not up to perhaps Tuvok's standard or Worf's standard or Constable Odo's standard. That seems for sure. I also have to say, how many more times is Caleb going to be in trouble before he gets more than a slap on the wrist? This is what I was mentioning in episode 1, where I felt like his relationship with Ake is unprofessional, because this is not the first infraction now. This is the 4th time he's received menial labor punishment for breaking the rules. And at some point, speaking strictly as a teacher, fairness dictates that you have to actually supply more of a punishment than just slapping the wrist every single time. Like, there has to be some point where someone is held more accountable.
I don't know. I still slightly disagree with that, just because he hasn't done anything truly awful that I think warrants a really nasty punishment.
I mean, hacking the bridge of a starship?
Again, hacking the bridge of a starship to help a friend. I think Ake is definitely looking at this from a perspective of, again, this is not you just doing it willy-nilly or doing this for any kind of ill intent. You were trying to help a friend, so I'm willing to give you a lesser punishment, one that's not going to, ruin your track record with Starfleet Academy and everything. And I think that's fair, honestly. Like, some punishments need to be specific to the occasion. And again, as far as the show has gone, he's never done anything truthfully, like, degradative to the Academy or other people. He's done it either for kind of stupid reasons or for good reasons and did something wrong as a result. I feel like her giving him somewhat lesser punishments isn't a terrible thing. Like, she sees his potential, and I'm sure this is not the first Academy student to break a lot of rules. Like, given the way specifically the Kelvin storyline goes, and even in a way our main Prime timeline goes, I feel like Kirk probably did a lot of this kind of stuff when he was in the Academy. And they probably were like, okay, like, that was stupid. You're not supposed to do that. Here's your 200 hours of menial labor, but we see your potential. We're going to let you kind of slide on this particular case. I feel like that's kind of where we're going. I
suppose I would be more forgiving of it if he wasn't such an arrogant, self-obsessed asshole sometimes.
Occasionally, but again, he's still finding his place. Again, I disagreed with you while we were watching the episode that he was being super rude about his what are they called? They weren't a foster family. They were
it was just a family that he was being sent to because it was unreasonable to leave a student on his own at the Academy, which I 100% agree with. And I mean, I do think it's incredibly rude to just arrogantly say, I don't want to go and do that, because, I mean, it seems like the only reason he refused to go and do it is because he wanted to live it up at the Academy on his own. He felt like there was nothing to gain by just getting to know some new people.
And again, from the perspective of a child or a young adult who is forced into a foster family because they have no other choice, I empathize with that.
But that's not really what it was. It wasn't like a full-on foster family. It was spend your school break time in a new place on the planet you've never been to before, getting to know new culture and new people. I mean, he was going to Dakar, which, I think is in India.
But again, it's not his choice. He didn't ask for that. He didn't want it. And I think it's perfectly fair to be like, I don't want this. I didn't ask for a foster family. I didn't ask to socialize with these new people. I'm finally feeling a little comfortable in this environment. Let me just do my thing. And I think he probably should have been given more supervision while he was there. But at the same time, she did make it clear, you'll have the mess hall, you'll have basic common areas to your liking, but all the classes will be sealed off. You won't really have much to do. And that's ultimately what he wanted to do. So I feel like, again, this is a situation where if that's what you want to do, then fine. I don't think you should be forced to go live with people you've never met before.
Yeah, but if you're going to take that opinion, then he wouldn't have come to the Academy at all. He's had to be forced to come to the Academy to begin with.
I mean, he wasn't forced. He was definitely strongly convinced.
Strong-armed. I just think it was... the attitude that he had was just exceedingly rude. To me. That's just the way I'm going to take it.
And that's fair. Again, I'm not saying you're wrong for that. I definitely see his perspective.
Instead of getting to know some people, I want to lay around sunbathing in the middle of the Academy. I guess I'm also kind of getting a bit tired of the let's use Caleb as obvious sex appeal for episodes. It's not done often, but it is done more than rarely, in my opinion.
It's true. I mean, again, I don't think you're wrong about that, but again, from an objective standpoint, that actor is, as I said in the episode, he is jacked. He is a very objectively sexually appealing person, so I definitely see why they're going that route with him. But I don't think you're wrong for saying it's becoming a bit tiresome for them to kind of rely on that or use it so
or
often.
use it. I mean, in fairness, if you're going to have a go at the sexualization of T'Pol in Enterprise or 709 in Voyager, the sexualization of male characters is equally as bad. But again, perhaps this is part of them trying to attract a new audience. I think it's fair to say that Star Trek has never exactly been the franchise that women gravitate towards. I would hazard a guess that the fandom is probably at least 75%, if not more, male orientated. So perhaps this is part of trying to appeal to a female audience, which I suppose is, fine.
I mean, again, it's also evening the score a little bit. Like, they had plenty of Riker's sexualization and T'Pol and Troy, and 7 of 9. So I guess this is their moment to be like, let's flip the script just a little bit. Let's have one of our male characters be the sex appeal for the show. And again, I don't necessarily think that's best route to take, but I'm also not against it. I'm like, sure, why not? If the actor feels comfortable doing it, then go for it. I don't think it's a problem.
But yeah, in general, I like you said earlier, I think this episode was fine, but just from my perspective, a bit too mushy and focused on teenage relationship stuff for me.
Yeah. And I kind of like the mushy stuff, so I didn't hate it. I found a lot of it to be decently compelling. I do see the criticism that it kind of lacks direction, just because it did feel, like you said, a little disjointed, having two plots that could have very much been their own episodes all in the same episode. It felt like we were not really giving the time needed to each of those storylines, which, again, if I were making the show, I probably would have made the season 11 episodes long and just had one episode focus on Genesis and Caleb, and then the next episode focus on DARREM and Jaden. But it's not like a huge problem I had with the episode. Just a way I think it could have improved was to focus on one or the other.
Yeah. I don't have anything else to say. Do you?
Only that I think Kyle and Jaden together is super cute. I don't care what people say. I think it's really adorable.
I feel their connection a lot more than I ever felt the connection between Stamets and Culber.
I mean, I felt the connection between Culber and Stamets, but I feel like the fact that they were already together at the beginning kind of lessened the impact of that relationship. Seeing Kyle and Jaden like slowly come together as a couple, it really works for me. Like, I really, really enjoy the chemistry that the two have together and what they're like representing as a gay couple on the show. And I know some people are going to disagree with me here, but it doesn't feel forced. It doesn't feel out of left field to me. I'm like, it feels very natural for both of these characters. It's not...
It's been clearly signposted since episode 2.
Yeah, and it feels right. I'm like, these two clearly have chemistry with one another. They clearly have common interests and enjoy each other's company and are happy around one another. So I really like it. Like, I really like it. And I kind of hope that the DARREM Jaden thing doesn't happen to interfere with it, because honestly, I like what they're doing with it currently.
But what did you guys think? If you're still watching Starfleet Academy, do let us know what you thought about this particular episode. This was episode 7, so we've not got too many left to go.
We have 3 left to go.
So let us know what you think in the comments, and if you haven't already seen it, I did leave a community post about the new Star Trek Voyager game, which I've been playing, and if you would like to see a playthrough of that on the channel, do go and comment on that post or like that post. And don't forget to subscribe if you're new to the channel to get more of our opinions on Star Trek Academy and on Star Trek stuff in general, and we will speak to you next time. Until then, it's goodbye from me.
And goodbye from me.